We're getting the pulse on the housing market this week during our week-long series, Real Estate, the New Reality. They say home is where the heart is, but for those looking to find a home in the U.S., well, that path to ownership may be pretty tough to navigate. New U.S. listings falling 25% from a year ago. And with buyers facing higher rates, the state of the housing market is anything but simple. So here to give us a better sense of what is playing out across the country, we're taking a look at Tampa, Florida with Smith & Associates real estate realtor Melanie Atkinson, a look at Indianapolis with True Blood real estate realtor Dan O'Brien, and Denver, Colorado with Kathy Casey, Coldwell Banker residential brokerage realtor. Great to have all three of you all in different parts of the country. I want to go around the horn real quick just to give us a better sense of exactly what you're seeing. So let's start east. We'll work our way west. Melanie, I want to start with you. What are you seeing right now in Tampa?
Sure. That statistic that you just put up is exactly what we're seeing in Tampa as well. We've seen a slowdown in market activity in general with buyers, but we've also seen most sellers don't want to sell their house. So buyers out there just don't have much to choose from. So the supply has not increased much, which means the prices haven't dropped too much.
And then I want to jump in here and bring the rest of you all in here and see what the trends that you're seeing in the rest of your regions. Let's go out west for this one. Kathy?
Hi. So, yeah, I would like to echo that. Our market has definitely slowed down. We were at such a hot fever pitch last year, and as everybody knows, the fever is not good. So I just feel like we're slow and steady now. I feel like we have a more stable market, more sustainable market. I actually think it's better for buyers than it was last year, even though the interest rates are higher, because number one, you're not paying over asking. We're getting some seller concessions, and interest rates are high, but there's workarounds on that as well.
Dan, what are you seeing in the Midwest?
Very similar. It's still a seller's market. It's still a competitive market, but it is certainly a different ball game than it was 12 to 18 months ago. It's been quite the ride as we were seeing those skyrocketing rates last year and a lot of uncertainty of what was going to happen. Are we going to see 10% interest rates? But now, interest rates have somewhat semi-normalized, where now buyers are looking in that 6.5, upper 6 range, where they've kind of accepted, unfortunately, this is the new norm, but the expectation is that rates are going to hopefully come back down in the next 12 months and they can ultimately refinance. So there was a lot of uncertainty. The second half of last year definitely slowed down. We didn't see any kind of big dip or anything like that, but we certainly saw a plateau and a reduction of buyer activity. But so far, the spring and summer market has picked back up. We're starting to see some more historical trends as things have happened pre-COVID crazy market.
Dan, what about that buyer activity? Are buyers being more pickier in this environment?
Absolutely. They actually have a chance to think about buying a house before they have to jump in against 40 other offers. So like she was saying, it's ultimately a healthier market. Of course, now sellers are saying, well, wait a second, where are all these offers and where's the waived inspections and waived appraisals? But at the end of the day, it is a much healthier market. Things are slower. Average days on market here are actually close to 80 days, which is a very high number compared to the last several years, but I've been in the business almost a decade, and certainly that's not an uncommon number. So buyers are a little bit choosier, a little bit pickier. They have some time really thinking about, okay, if this is a big investment, interest rates are higher compared to what they were. Is this really what I want? So at the end of the day, I think it's in a good spot.
And I want to quickly get to you, Melanie and Kathy. In your regions, is it a buyer's or a seller's market or none of the above?
I would say in Tampa, it's none of the above. So in Tampa, what we're seeing is we still only have about 2 months of inventory. And one of our biggest problems is quality of inventory. So if you have a house that goes on the market in Tampa that's really well prepared, then that house typically will have a lot of offers, maybe not as much as we did last year. You might have went from 10 offers to 2 offers, but we're still seeing multiple offer situations here in the Tampa Bay area. Florida is still really a desirable place for people to relocate to. We are just seeing houses stay on the market longer, but those houses that are staying on the market tend to be the ones that are in worse condition and need a lot of help and construction, and buyers just don't want to deal with that on top of having to pay, historically high prices and higher interest rates.
Kathy?
So yeah, I mean, despite what you see on TV shows, it's not all designer clothes, glamour shots, and fancy cars that's happening in our market right now. So basically, so our average days on market is about 34 days. So it still is a seller's market in our region. At that 34 days, it wouldn't hit to a buyer's market until we're over 90 days. So we are still in the seller's market, but it actually is working well for both buyers and sellers because, as you previously mentioned, buyers do have a chance to actually look and they don't have to make a decision in 10 minutes for the house that they want to buy. Another thing that I have noted, and this was put out by NAR, that 65% of those that purchased during the pandemic have some sort of buyer's remorse. And I think that is because they had to make their decisions so quickly. And, they really wish they would have gotten, the third bathroom or the fourth bedroom or in a better neighborhood. And so for those buyers, some of them feel like they are stuck because of the interest rates they got. But there are definitely ways that we can work around that. I'm starting to see a trend in lenders offering permanent interest buy down. So instead of just the 2-1 buy down, we're starting to see a trend in permanent buy downs. Just last couple of weeks ago, I had a buyer that had a builder that actually bought her rate down 2 interest points. So it was 6.5 and it was bought down to 4.5%. And so because these are permanent buy downs, this really allows them to qualify for more house. So, like I said, there's ways around trying to get around the interest rates and what's happening in the market, but I definitely feel it's kind of even kill for both buyer and seller, but still leaning more towards the seller's favor.
Dan, for those who are looking to buy in the Indianapolis area, what do they need to know? What's the 1, 2, 3 tips that you would share with them?
Again, it's always about being prepared. If you're a buyer and you're coming in there not having spoken to a mortgage lender about getting pre-approved, if you don't know what you really want, at the end of the day, you're going to waste your time, right? So it's always one of those as a buyer, have your stuff in order, talk to a mortgage lender, talk with a professional realtor, figure out what you're looking for. Because, I said that days on market are up. However, there are still zones that are very competitive. Hamilton County is on the north of the Indianapolis area, and it's, kind of the affluent suburb. And we are absolutely still looking at multiple offer scenarios. And, an interesting statistic here is that in Hamilton County, there have been more sales over $1 million than under $200,000, right? So in this market for Denver, that might seem crazy that we can even think of under $200,000. But here, the average price point, the median sales price in greater Indianapolis is $280,000. So, we have some areas that are still selling very quickly. Even the high-end homes, at least what we would consider high-end for this market, are selling in a short period of time. So again, to the comments of the nicer homes, still, very, very quick at selling. But if you're a buyer, make sure that you know kind of what you're doing. If you get in there, you may or may not have time to get a pre-approval letter, depending on what the house is doing, if there are multiple offers. So that's the biggest thing that I can recommend is talk to a professional, both a mortgage lender and a realtor, to kind of understand what you're looking at.
200,000, Dan, that would get you a shoebox here in New York. Melanie, I want to quickly get back to Florida because I was recently down there, not in your region, but in Miami. I noticed the heat down there. What are you seeing in terms of the cash spend? So we saw some data from Redfin showing about a third of home buyers are paying cash. Are you seeing that play out in what the data is showing you down there in Florida?
Not as much as it was before. So keep in mind that over the past couple of years, a lot of the cash buyers were actually corporate companies that were coming in and purchasing houses with cash with the purpose of then using them as rentals. We also had people from all over the country buying second homes here. They were selling houses up north. Coming down with a lot of cash because the prices were up all over the country. So people had all of this cash to spend. So either they were coming down here for primary homes or secondary ones. But for the most part, in general, because the market activity has slowed, obviously the cash activity has slowed. And more significantly, we don't see those corporate buyers out there quite as much, which is great for the lower end price points and first time home buyers if they're not competing against corporate buyers.
All right, we will have to put a pin in our conversation. Love hearing about the state of real estate across the country. We're represented here by the Northeast at our table. Anecdotally speaking, our thanks to all of you, Kathy Casey, Melanie Atkinson, and Dan O'Brien.